All right, everybody, week 11 of Married at First Sight. If you want to talk about Chris, we made a separate video for him. It's already up on the channel. I'll try to leave a link or a thingy for you. But tonight, in this video, we're just talking about our other four couples. This is a Chris-free zone. It's a safe space for all of us who actually care about the other four couples to have some conversations. So we'll start off with Eric and Virginia. This is a couple that is very frustrating, and more frustrating to me the deeper we get into the season. You know, last week we basically had Eric reveal that he voted Trump twice, and that even though he's a meet in the middle kind of guy, he'll never change under any circumstances whatsoever. And to me, those were massive, massive, massive red flags for Virginia, who is not a Trump supporter and also actually is willing to do some compromises in some areas of her life. Eric, you know, we've heard it over and over and over again, but you having a failed marriage does not make you a marriage expert. I don't know where this thought comes from that you can only succeed in a relationship if you've had other long-term failed relationships. That's so ridiculous to me. Like, you need 10 years of failed relationship experience before you're ready to settle down. Like, people who married their high school sweethearts don't exist, or people who have not been in a long-term relationship can't be in a successful marriage. It's absurd. And I think that the sooner we wipe that mentality away, the sooner we'll quit having people like Eric thinking they're experts because they've been divorced before. They really got stuck on this living together idea today. You know, they're willing to say I love you, but no, not even remotely close to being willing to live together. It's very bizarre. You know, Virginia's sitting there saying she would be uncomfortable living with Eric or living at Eric's place, and that is just weird to me. Like, are you in love, or are you just saying you're in love? You know, this kind of feels like a couple that just keeps saying everything's great, everything's good, I love you, all these things, when they're just skirting around all these major issues. And every time they butt heads on an issue, it seems like that issue just gets swept back under the rug for a later date. Like, what happens when they actually have to face these very divisive issues in their relationship? You know, if they can't even come to a remote compromise on living together, like, what's going to happen when they're having real conversations about starting a family? You know, we already know Virginia maybe doesn't want to have kids, and Eric is, you know, if you don't want to have kids, I don't want to be with you kind of guy. Just very, very weird. Also, we got that cool scene of Eric revving the engine, so now we all know, yes, he is that guy. In the past few episodes, it feels like we've had a lot less of a focus on Virginia's drinking. So I don't know if that's something that is going to come to a head at some point in the season, or if it's actually been something that she's been a little more in control of as we've gotten deeper into this progress. Anybody else notice that Eric's entire identity and seems like his family's entire identity is airplanes? Like, every interview shot that we have of Eric, there's an airplane something in the background. Like, he has an airplane like key holder, and he's got an airplane model. You know, they're having their 1-month anniversary at his family's airplane hangar. Just very, very bizarre. Like his whole identity, airplanes. Wasn't really a big fan of that gift from Eric either. The GPS coordinates, like I get it, like it's cute, it's sweet, but it's one of those things where you have to explain that to every single person who looks at it or asks a question about it. Like nobody gets it. Like see some coordinates, like what? Cool. Like what, is that a treasure chest? You have a treasure chest there? Is X marked the spot? Like what's going on? It's just a very bizarre thing, and once again, links back to his entire identity being airplanes. You know, as we get deeper into this relationship, I just see less and less reasons for them to stay together, and do not think that they will stick together in the end. All right, next couple, Brianna and Vincent. I just really don't have much for them. Like they had a pretty cute 1-month anniversary, and that's about it for them this episode. But every time on their screen, they're on the screen, I start getting stressed out because I'm just waiting for the next Vinny explosion. You know, I'm just waiting for him to get mad over something. And you know, if they're 1 month into the relationship and we've had multiple instances of Vincent being extremely mad over seemingly small things, then we all know that's going to be a long-term issue. But really, I don't have anything else to say about them tonight, so let's move on. Haley and Jacob. First off, I did not peg Haley as the astrology type. You know, when they said they were bringing in the charts for readings, I just didn't see that from her. Didn't really seem like that was the kind of person she was. But overall, I very much enjoyed seeing them get the reading. You could tell that Haley was just looking for confirmation that they shouldn't be together. Like that's a lot of what she does, is she just wants someone to say, oh, Haley, you shouldn't be with him. Like that's what she's looking for every time she talks to somebody or gets a reading. That's what she's looking for. And for her to not hear that they're doomed, kind of put a smile on my face. The reading was very much like, hey, both of you need to chill out a little bit. You're very compatible, and that's that. Looking when they did go on their 1 month anniversary, you could tell like in that moment that Jacob's looking back on their wedding day. He went to a very, very negative place. And one thing we have learned about Jacob this season is when he has an issue or something bothers him, he quickly spirals and goes down the rabbit hole with that thing or moment or feeling, whatever it is. And this was a prime example of that. Like you could visibly see him just go to this negative space. You know, he's sitting there talking to Haley, asking her a question and just shoving food in his mouth. Like everything about it was just like negative body language, negative demeanor, everything about it. And then, of course, that leads to them getting in a big fight. And I don't blame these two for calling it at this point. Like, I don't know if they do, but it seems like they should be headed in that direction. There's 4 weeks left, and they have nothing. And apparently, Haley has given it her all. Apparently, in Haley's world, doing absolutely jack crap for a relationship is giving it your all. Total BS on her part. Don't buy it for one moment that she's given it her all or even given it this relationship anything, because like Jacob pointed out, you know, there was those 4 days at the start of the relationship that seemed like there was a connection, there was something there, and all of a sudden they had sex and things turned sour. And for them to look back on those moments and Haley tell Jacob that there was no connection at that point, that she was just faking it, I understand his frustration. That's not what you want to hear. The one good part of your relationship was a lie. Those good moments were a lie. And if that wasn't even real, if that's not even a positive moment to strive towards, then they're even worse off than they were at the start of this episode. As far as I'm concerned, we're now 2 couples down in this season and down to our final 3. That's not how a Married at First Sight season is supposed to go, but that is the vibe I am getting. All right, lastly, we have Clara and Ryan. Clara is very, very, very much a frustrated woman. It is very, very clear, but in a relationship, in my opinion, in terms of pace, emotionally, sexually, you have to go at the pace of the person who's moving the slowest. If you don't, then you force that other person into a situation that they're not comfortable with, that long term is going to hurt your relationship. I understand Clara's frustration, but I wish that she could find a way to just take sex off the table for a little while and give Ryan the time he needs to get there. Because if he does, I think that they will be a successful couple. But, we're watching her, and it's hurting their moments together. It's hurting their time together because she is very, very clearly frustrated and just doesn't know what to do about it. We get that one shot of Ryan talking to the producer, saying that he's maybe falling in love with her. And I just think that even Ryan just saying that to Clara, that he's starting to have those feelings, would go a long way to reassure her that things are headed in the right direction. Overall, one thing I've really noticed about Ryan is he's socially awkward. He wants to say the right thing. He wants to have something to say back to Clara, but he just doesn't. This is someone who's just a socially awkward person, and I'm very much a socially awkward person as well. And getting in certain situations where you're at a loss for words, you're kind of stuck. And if you have somebody there with you who can help get that out of you, help get you to a comfortable space, it really helps. And while Clara is in this negativity zone about really just needing to have sex, that it doesn't help Ryan be comfortable growing those emotions, growing that comfort, and getting to the place that Clara wants him to be. So I'm not sure what the solution is for those two. We saw in the preview that they're going to go do some tantric yoga, and I think that having some level of intervention for them with an activity like tantric yoga, giving them more time with the experts, is something that could potentially get this couple over the finish line. So that's going to wrap things up for our discussion on our, 3 couples. And overall, I'm kind of hoping that we see 0 couples at the end of this. If anybody's going to actually work, I think it's Ryan and Clara, but they have a lot to do in this final month of their journey. Brianna and Vincent, with Vincent's temper, I just really worry about what happens when he explodes. What happens when he explodes over something big? Virginia and Eric, they really want it, but ultimately there's just too much conflict and too much disagreement between those two for things to work out long term, in my opinion. So, at the end of this, at least Eric and Virginia will both be relationship experts, having both gone through a divorce, right? That's how it works? No, it's not. All right, everybody. As always, thank you so much for watching. And until next week, we'll see you later.